Ah, the golden goal from Canada's biggest star, the best hockey player in the world. But that was 4 years ago. A lot's happened since to Sidney Crosby.
You certainly feel the effects of that.
Most of it not very nice.
It goes up into the face of Crosby.
Can he bounce back? Are the headshots really behind him? Who better to tell us than the man himself, Sidney Crosby, our first guest in this, our 15th season. You know, the goal, the golden goal, is the one that everybody seems to remember from the last Olympics. It's the video highlight you always see. But I heard you say the other day that you don't think about that much anymore. Really?
I don't that much, unless somebody brings it up, which is fairly often, especially when we're here at the Olympic camp. But it's not any different than any other Olympic athlete who has a good time or a successful Olympics. If they're in another one, they've got to turn the page pretty quick and get ready for that one.
What is special about the Olympics? What makes it different?
I think just the atmosphere and the environment of everyone basically being on the same team, no matter what sport you play. So I really enjoyed that part of it, seeing other sports, meeting other athletes, and there's just nothing to compare it to. And to have it every 4 years kind of puts even more emphasis on it.
Do you meet other athletes?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, were these stories that, in fact, you were hanging out in the athletes' village, playing ping pong with the other athletes?
I didn't leave the athletes' village pretty much for the entire time I was there. So we were pretty busy practicing and playing and things like that. But in between, it was not uncommon to run across or come across speed skaters or the women's hockey team, the curling team. I mean, everybody was there. So I think that group of people are the only people that can relate to what's going through your brain at that time. And it's a lot of pressure, no matter what sport you're playing. People have trained their entire lives for 1 minute, possibly. So that's a lot of pressure, and I think that we can all kind of relate to that.
Biggest achievement of your life? Biggest goal of your life? Do you think that?
Biggest goal for sure. Achievement, I'm not sure. I think that the Stanley Cup is right there, but it's hard to really debate which one is kind of more important. They're both so special, and it's a good problem to have.
Yeah, I bet. How do you outdo the last time? I mean, think of it. You're playing in your own country, for your country. You get the gold medal winning goal in overtime against the United States, against the guy who was at that time the best goalie in the world. How do you get better than that?
I don't think you need to necessarily outdo it. I mean, that situation presented itself, and we were fortunate enough to be able to win, and for myself to be able to score that goal, that's a special memory. But it doesn't change how important these Olympics are, and it's easy for me to turn the page. I'm not trying to match that situation or beat that situation. That'd be tough, but I want to win. I think that's all of our goals.
You never played in Russia before, right?
No, not up to this point. So
that makes it special too.
Yeah, absolutely. I think being Canadian, being a hockey player, we all know the tradition and history there in 1972. We all well aware of the situation there, so I think that'll be a pretty cool moment to be part of that.
A number of players, including yourself, have spoken out about Russia's anti-gay law, the new law. Do you think that whether it's players or countries or the IOC, there needs to be something more than just words on that issue?
That's a tough one. I mean, for me, I wasn't brought up that way. I was brought up in a way that everyone equally got an opportunity, no matter what your beliefs or anything like that was. So, it's something that again is it's governed. There's nothing. I mean, people can protest, and we can be vocal about it, but at the end of the day, we don't make laws.
So, a boycott or some kind of public display while in Russia, that's not on the table for you?
You know what? It's a fine line. I mean, we're dealing with sport, and we're getting into politics a little bit too. So, I definitely don't agree with it. But that being said, to necessarily maybe punish some of those athletes that or put them in a position to have to boycott, because of that, that's tough.
Do you talk about it amongst yourselves as players? Has it been an issue?
Not in depth. I mean, the fact that it's an issue, but not in depth too much. I mean, everyone has different views, and again, when you're dealing with a sport, that's going to happen. I think guys have been vocal, but that doesn't necessarily mean that there's going to be a change in the law.
I raise it because it's a leadership issue, and those in leadership roles have to address it, have to answer it. And you, it seems, in the last year or so, have taken on more of a leadership role off ice. We all know you're on ice leadership role, but you were kind of at the head of the pack on the lockout issue. You were the microphones off, and from what we understand, you were using your influence wherever you could on those issues. Why have you kind of gravitated towards that off-ice leadership role? Is this something you've been interested in?
I don't know about that. It's probably just a progression. I think that as you get older, you realize that people are gonna want your opinion, and to be honest, I'm not the kind of person that will fight to get my opinion out there necessarily. But that being said, I understand that being in my position, sometimes it's important to voice it, and especially for things that are close to me or things that I feel are important. That kind of comes with the territory, but I think anybody who knows me knows that I won't go looking for someone to necessarily hear my opinion. So it's kind of just a natural age. You realize that that's just part of it.
Still to come.
Blindside by David Steckler. You can certainly feel the effects of that.
How bad was it in your mind in terms of what it could mean? I mean, did you worry that you'd never play again? The answer from Sidney Crosby when we come back.
I know that there was always a want or a need for information on what was going on with me, and I understand that, but I'd be telling you a different story every 2 days.
What's the number one issue for hockey players today?
Geez, I feel like we're in a pretty good place. I think that right across the board, the game has bounced back pretty well from pretty ugly time there since last year. So I don't think there's too many issues. Maybe the young guys being so good. I think that's the issues for the players. But
did we ever think we'd hear Sidney Crosby talking about the young guys?
Yeah, I mean, 18 years old, everybody's coming in now, and it's just a young sport. I think it's got younger.
What about safety? What about player safety?
I think everyone's doing the best they can to control that. With concussions and things like that, that's the biggest obvious one. But when you get guys this good, this fast, that big, it's unfortunately that's kind of part of it. But
what do you think is being done to control it? What's different? What's changed?
Well, I think as far as the way things are penalized, players hitting the head, and players are much more aware of it now. With obviously with the media, you don't miss a hit now. There's no hit that doesn't go unnoticed, or a guy doesn't get away with a hit that he might have gotten away with in the past. And there's so much awareness that and everyone sees it.
Do you think there's still more to go on that in terms of tougher rules?
Yeah, I think with time, like anything, you have to adjust and you have to adapt. And I think it's up to everyone involved in the sport at every level, from professional level to minor hockey, to even to science, to doctors being able to help out and find out exactly. I mean, concussions are still kind of a mysterious thing. We do know a lot more now, but there's still things that we can learn, and hopefully ways and methods we can learn to either heal or to find out more about the actual extent of the injuries.
Well, we know you're speaking from experience. When you consider that since that golden goal, you haven't played a full season because of injuries.
Yeah.
Two kind of very different situations, the concussions. One, the kind of fluke, deflected shot, broken jaw, teeth issues. Although I got to say, your teeth are looking good. Well, we could tell.
Yeah.
But when I look at those two, I want to try and draw you out a little bit on this. When you look at those two situations, one's very easy to define. You look at an X-ray of a broken jaw, teeth issues. You know when it's going to heal. You know how long it's going to take. You try to look at the concussion situation, and we're talking about a much different situation because you have no idea.
Mm-hmm.
What was that like, the concussion?
It's a scary thing, I think, for a lot of different reasons. Just obviously the physical part where you're not able to really do much.
What could you do?
Not much.
Could you read?
No.
Reading's a big thing for you.
Yeah, I like to read, and watching TV, I couldn't watch TV. Seemed like anything, really. I mean, and you just kind of told to rest, right? Which is the worst thing for any athlete, is just to sit there and rest. And you're so used to competing, so used to being around your teammates. So, I think the physical and the mental part, when you get a typical injury, you're given a time frame and you're gradually working towards getting back. And with concussions, there's not necessarily a time frame, or there's a span where you feel like you're getting better, and then it could be just one day that everything kind of seems to go back to where you started. So, it's a frustrating injury, and one that anyone who's gone through it can relate, and it's a hard one to really. So it's a hard one to understand unless you've gone through it.
It pushed you to take some different kinds of measures, or to at least explore other measures. I'll never forget this cover. I don't know whether you ever saw it, but there were other articles like it. This in Maclean's, Rebuilding Sidney Crosby's Brain.
Wasn't that that may be pushing it?
Well, it was. You know what it was? It was the doctor who had you in various different situations and trying to help you. The doctor, a chiropractor, is Ted Carrick, and his then little-known treatment, starting in the summer of 2011, was aimed at stimulating Crosby's brain.
It was great. I think the typical method for rehabbing a concussion, or typical way to heal, is just to kind of rest and not do anything until you don't have symptoms. And I think up to a certain point, that's a good thing to do. But there comes a time too where there are things that can help to diagnose and to hopefully make your recovery a little bit faster if you can. So the things that I did there were probably things that weren't that conventional, but I think are probably a little bit more and more. So that's encouraging to see that there are methods. And I think the biggest thing that for me at that time was Dr. Carrick gave me a lot of hope. He gave me a time frame. He gave me things that he thought would really help, and you just need that little bit of encouragement, especially when things haven't really gone that well up to that point.
Talk to me about that. I mean, how bad was it in your mind in terms of what it could mean? I mean, did you worry that you'd never play again?
Well, it crosses your mind. I mean, when you're not able to do everyday things, let alone be a professional athlete and be at that level you need to be at. I mean, that seems like it's miles away. So, yeah, absolutely, that crosses your mind. And, I'd be lying if I said it didn't. I mean, that's something that you try to not think about and store away back there, but that's in your mind.
Are there any recurring symptoms?
Nothing.
Nothing at all.
No. It's been
Yeah.
it's been good. Yeah, I had a good couple of bumps along the way the last couple of years. Obviously, getting the shot to the face was probably the biggest test, and I remember that first week. You're pretty sore, obviously, where you get hit, but just kind of hoping that you're not getting any severe headaches or any dizziness.
And you had nothing after that.
No, it's great. It's great. So, other than just the jaw.
Do you play it differently than you played it 4 years ago?
No.
You haven't changed your game.
No, not. I hope not. Hopefully not. If it has changed, not by design, not because I've wanted it to. I still feel like the physical part is just as enjoyable. I don't go into a corner thinking twice about my head or getting hit.
Bobby Orr told me this summer that he hurt his knee in the first year he played. He got taken into the boards, clean hit in Toronto when he was 18. He said he never played another game without feeling some of that.
Yeah.
But you're saying it's gone. It's past. It's not there anymore.
No. I mean, and you do hear about guys who have had reoccurring concussion issues, and I think if anything, going through it so long and making sure that there wasn't still underlying things and forcing to those conditions. I mean that might be a different story. I might be sitting here telling you something different. Maybe I wouldn't even be playing now. So, I think looking back, as frustrating as long as it seemed, I'm happy the way that it went, and I'm glad that I didn't come back until I was ready to come back, because you hear it a lot, you see it a lot. Guys come back too quick, and could affect their career.
When we come back, your sister, she wants to be a goalie for Canada.
Yes.
These stories about you taking shots on her, true?
Well, what are they?
Final thoughts with Sidney Crosby in just a moment. Your sister, she wants to be a goalie for Canada.
Yes.
These stories about you taking shots on her, that true?
Well, what are they?
Well, that she stops them all.
Yeah, she does pretty well. It's funny because I never really had the chance to shoot on her. I left home. Taylor was 5 or 6 when I left home, so I went to Shattuck. So I was always gone during the winter, and honestly, she didn't really pick up hockey until I think she might have been 10 when she started to play hockey, which is kind of late for being Canadian. So I think that I think it was maybe a couple Christmases ago when I came home. And it's the first time I was ever on the ice with her, and I was surprised she was good, and it didn't take long for the family competition to begin. And my dad was out there, and eventually he was breaking up little squabbles that we were having. So
He was a goalie, wasn't he?
he was, yeah. So it's cool. I mean, he can relate so much with Taylor, and I always thought father son, hockey dad, and there's so much we had in common. But I mean, them being goalies, I think they almost have even more now, because they both play the same position, and it's fun to see them interact and see the way they talk about things. And Taylor's in love with the game, and to go to school to play there, but to sacrifice what she does to play, it's fun to see. She loves it.
That's got to be a dream, though. Huh? You're playing on Team Canada, and her playing on Team Canada.
Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be great. I think that's there's 2 goalie positions for the national team in women's hockey, and I think that's kind of the pinnacle of their career, of their sport. So I'd love to see her do it, but I'm just happy that she's found something that she loves to do, and to see the passion she has for it, to see her doing well, going to school, and putting up some really good grades. She's making me look bad in the classroom, that's for sure.
What's the defining Sidney Crosby moment in the career so far? Is it Stanley Cup, hoisting the cup? Is it golden goal? Or is it concussion?
I don't know. I don't sit around thinking about it, to be honest with you. And I think it's important, honestly, for concussions. I think having gone through it, I feel like there's responsibility to educate people. And for anyone who's gone through it, any hockey player, any guy that I ever talked to, I know how important it is to share and to kind of talk about it because I've been there. But part of me too, just there's times where I don't want to think about it. I just want to play and I want to enjoy, being back playing and competing, and so you're kind of trying to balance both. But I don't know if you look at a defining moment. I think you're trying to do the right thing, and that's basically what I'm doing with concussions. And so it's the same thing when you play. You're trying to compete. You're trying to do the best you can out there. It's all relative. So I don't know if there's one specific defining moment, but I'm trying to do the best I can at everything.
Good luck this year.
Thank you very much.
We'll all be watching.